Alright, so we finished the remeshing and the UV mapping. So the only thing left is to export the geometry and then paint it in Substance Painter. Now the one thing you need to remember is that when you export from ZBrush, it assigns a material which is embedded into the OBJ file. So make sure that you delete that before you export it finally. So what you'll need to do is take an attribute delete, and if you come to primitive attributes, you'll see that there is something called as a material shop path. So just make sure you delete that. We'll delete the class as well, so it doesn't matter. And I'll do it for both, for the cupcake and the icing. And then I can just export them. Like I've given it a null, because what happens, or what I've noticed is that whatever node you right click and export on, that is the name that it picks up in Substance Painter. So I created a null and called it cake, so it's just easier to work that way. And then I can just save the geometry and we will export it. So I'll just export both and then we'll switch over to Substance Painter. Alright, so this is not really like a primer for Substance Painter. So I'm assuming you know the basics of it, but whatever I'm going to do is not too complex. So we're just going to keep it fully procedural. I'm not going to paint anything new. Because the idea is that if you create another variation of the cupcake, you should just be able to assign the same material and get the same result. Okay, which is effectively what we're going for. So what I'm going to do is just click new and we'll start with the cupcake. So I have the cupcake final and we'll keep the document resolution to 2048. You can keep it to 1024 as well, because the great thing about Substance Painter is that you can up the resolution later on and it will just, up the whole document without any problems. And I'll turn off this create texture per udim because we don't need that, and just do OK. So you will get the cupcake. So there you go. Okay, so the first thing we want is we want to bake all the information. So come into the texture set. Okay, and click on bake mesh map and pick up the high res geometry. So I'll click here and I'll pick up the cupcake. Okay, and I'll keep this to 4K because I want a fairly high res baked maps. Okay, and then just turn off ID. We don't have anything for ID, so you can turn that off. And then we'll just bake this. So I'll just click bake. It'll take about 10 seconds or 15 seconds, something like that. The reason I like baking in Substance Painter and not in Houdini is because what you're doing is, primarily the reason for baking is that you can use it for building shaders. And so it's better to do it in a place where you are going to build your shaders, right? Because that's what Substance Painter is for. So you bake it in Substance Painter and then you use those maps to build a shader. Rather than doing it like, okay, we do it in Houdini and then we import it here and then, it's a bit of a round trip, which I don't think is needed. So you just sort of, do everything in this place. And there you go. This is pretty good, right? Like we don't have any seams or any issues as such. Okay, so what are we going to do? So this is going to be about, we need about 3 things. Okay, so firstly, I want to do a gradient going from, bottom to top. Then I want to make the top a little darker. And then lastly, I want an additional bump map. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just pick up a reference from Google. So there we go. So we have like cupcakes. Okay, I'm going to keep this. And what we'll start off with is we'll just take a single fill layer. I'll get rid of this base layer. Okay, and we want to generate a gradient, okay, based on the height. Okay, so the way you do it is you right click here and you take a generator. And the first thing we want is we just want to affect the color. So turn off all of the others. And the generator you want to take is called 3D linear gradient. Okay, and that will just generate this. See, so it goes from, bottom to top. So sort of like that. And then based on this information, I want to create a gradient. So right click again over here and take add filter. So this will take a filter. And again, we don't want to affect any of the others. just click here and take a gradient. So what this does is based on whatever is layer below it, it will build a gradient on that. Okay, so if you click there, and now if I adjust the color, see, so if I just do, let's say, and just, this is just to show, but there you go. See, so you have like, you have one color here and then another. Okay. And then if you come back to the position and make adjustments, you can see like you can modify it. Okay, so what I want to do is we can directly just pick up colors from here. So as you can notice, like the bottom is a little burnt and then you have like a pale color and then it gets lighter towards the top. Okay, so I'll just come to the gradient, and the best thing you can do is click here and then click on the eyedropper and just drag it in there. Okay, like that's one of the good things. Like you can just move it anywhere on your desktop and it will pick up the color. Okay, and then similarly, I can just come here, click there, and then pick up like a lighter shade. Yeah, maybe adjust it, the way you want to. Yeah, okay. And then lastly, I can actually just pick up the same color, but make it slightly lighter. Okay, there you go. So this is the basic, coloring that we want. Shift and right click allows you to rotate the HDR, okay, for lighting. Okay, so this is our base layer. Then the next thing I want is like the top to get a little darker. Okay, so I can take another layer here. Let's take another fill layer. So if you want, we can double click and call it base gradient. Okay, and this one I want slightly darker. So let's pick it up from here. So this is the top color that I want. Okay, so let's just click there and I can pick up something here. Okay, and then I want to generate a mask for this. So create a black or a white mask and then right click here, take add generator, and then we want to take a curvature. Okay, so you'll get this, or actually no, don't take a curvature. Take a dirt. Yeah, there you go. So the dirt is better. And you can try to invert it, which is actually better. This is what I want. And then you can adjust the contrast and you can adjust the dirt level, like how much you want. You can try to, adjust this, see where you want to go. Maybe make it slightly more reddish. Okay. And if you wanted to affect the bump mapping, you can adjust the height a little bit. See, so it'll affect, the bump map. So yeah, I think this is okay. This is better. Yeah, you get a little more, graininess into it, which is nice. Or you can try to go negative. I think negative might be a good idea. Yeah, I think this is nice. Okay, so there you go. And a little bit of roughness to this would be good as well. So yeah, just increase that a little bit. Cakes are a little wettish, so it's okay to keep it slightly shiny. Okay, but what I want is I just want this on the top. Okay, I don't want it all the way. So what I can do is I can add another generator. Okay, and we'll take a 3D linear, okay, and then just mask it. Okay, so keep this to multiply. Yeah, and then just sort of, adjust it, like increase the contrast. Like if you make this darker, we should be able to see it better. There you go, see. So now this is only on the top and not, not below this area. Yeah, I think this is okay. The colors you can pick and choose. I'm just showing you like the basics, but you can sort of, adjust them accordingly. Okay, another thing we can try is if, let's say, like in this one, you can see like the sides are slightly burnt or whatever, then we can try to do that as well. So I can take a third layer and then let's see if we can work this. So I'll pick and make it slightly dark like that. And let's keep this to multiply. And again, just add a mask. Always just work with a mask. Okay, and then we'll add a generator and take dirt, but invert it so you're coming out towards the top, and adjust a little bit. Or actually no, don't take dirt, just take curvature. I think curvature would be simpler. Yeah, there you go. I think curvature is better. And you can blur it a little bit and adjust the contrast and the balance. Yeah, actually that's not too bad. Okay, we can just lower the opacity of this layer. So let me just sort of bring it down a little bit. Yeah, okay, this is fine. Yeah, if we want, we can come back to the original gradient and make this slightly lighter. Let's get this to multiply as well. Yeah, there we go. That's a little bit better. Okay, as a final thing, I just want to add an additional bump map to this. So what I can do is I can just take a layer, turn off color and roughness and metal, and we just want the height and the normal. And then I can just right click here, add a mask. Let's take a fill and we'll pick up a cellular. Okay, so just pick up like cells and come back here and just increase the height. Okay. Now it's too big, so just you'll have to come back to your cells and adjust the size. Okay, so come to the scaling and increase it. There you go. Like if you come in closer, we should be able to see. There you go. See, so you have like additional roughness on the whole thing, and that's your basic cupcake material. Okay, now one of the things you can also do is we can put all of this into a folder. So I'll just create a folder. I'll call it cake material. I can just take all of these and just drop them in there. And then what you can do is you can right click here and you can say create smart material. So what that does is it saves it into in the smart materials tab, and then the next time if you want to use it, you can just drag it from there. Okay, so I had created like a chocolate cake material earlier, which I can just sort of drag and drop it in here, and you'll get like this was like a very dark chocolate cake material that I had made. Okay, one of the other things you can do is one of the great places to start off with, especially if you're doing like chocolate, then you can just use like a leather material. Okay, because the leather works out really well for chocolate. Okay, so just come in here, you'll find something called leatherette damaged. Okay, and just drag and drop this, and see, this is a great place to have like a chocolate material. And you just have to go and make some minor changes, like turn off damages, like that is better. And we can try to work with like, yeah, edge highlights is fine. But yeah, like if you want like a chocolate cake, there you go. And this is pretty simple. You can just use this directly. Okay. But anyway, so I'm happy with this for now. Okay, so let me just, I'll save this file and I'll export the material. Okay, so I'll just do a save. Okay, so this is as far as the cupcake is concerned. So let's make the icing now. Okay, let's also export the texture. So I'll come into export textures and I'll keep it to 4K, and let's do one thing. Let's just rename this, so I can come in here and I can right click and edit name, and we'll call it cupcake. Okay, and do file, export textures. Okay, so now let's make the icing. Okay, so I'll just come in here and we'll click new, and I'll pick up the icing. Again, keep it at 2K, and okay, so let's save this. Okay, so with the icing, you get multiple varieties, but what I want to do is I want to show you how to create like a burnt, look over here. So we'll start off the same way. Okay, another thing is if you want, when you're in Houdini, you can do like a UV edit and make this fill up the whole thing. I forgot to do that, but you can do that because there's a lot of empty space here. But anyway, so let's rename this first. So we'll say edit name and call it icing. Okay. And then let's bake everything first. So come in here, do bake mesh map and pick up icing. Let's get it to 4K. Okay. And click bake. So yeah, like the other reason for using Substance Painter is from what my friend has told me, and he's into game development. So he's kind of said like the Substance Painter or the Substance Designer bakers are probably the best in the market. Houdini is kind of okay, but not that great. And I think Blender is better than Houdini, and then Substance Painter are probably the best ones. Okay. So yeah, just I can't, comment on it, but that's what he told me. And it's very simple to use the baker here than trying to do it with Houdini. So I just prefer this. So let's build the basic color first, and then we'll do the burnt look. So again, I'll just take a generator and we will set it to curvature. And then I don't want it to affect the height or the roughness or anything else. So just this, and maybe blur it a little bit. And we will adjust it. And then I want to add a gradient. So let's say add filter and click here and take a gradient. And then, yeah, you can just set up the color. So let's make it slightly, like, let's try to pick up this color. Let's see what we get. Yeah, okay. So let's just keep it slightly yellowish like that. Okay, I think I put it into the wrong one. So let's keep it there. And then this one, I'll make it slightly lighter. And then this one, let's keep it to white. Okay. So yeah, so there you go. So this is like your basic color that you want. Let's get the roughness really down so it's quite shiny. Okay, the second thing I want, let's make the gradient slightly darker. So I can get, some kind of coloring in here. Maybe push it a little towards red just to make it a little fancy. Okay, now the next thing is I want to add some bump mapping to this. So let's add bump mapping. So I'll take a layer here, turn off color and maybe roughness, or let's keep roughness. And then, sorry, wrong. We need, yeah, so we'll add a layer. I'll turn off color and again, just right click here, take a mask. We'll increase the height a little bit so we can start seeing what's going to happen. And what I want to do is I'll right click here, I'll take a fill and I want to pick up, let's pick up something. Let's pick up like a grunge. Okay, so we'll come in here and we'll pick up, yeah, there you go. See, so the grunge gives you, a little bit of contrast like that, which is nice. See, you get like a nice little grain on the whole thing. Okay, and then I want another one. So we'll do add, again, add a fill layer. I'll pick up a cellular map and I want to create the holes. So let me just increase the contrast a little bit and increase the tiling. Yeah, there you go. See, so you get holes. Okay, so just sort of, you can adjust the balance and then adjust the contrast. So you just get like, holes like that. And maybe slightly bigger. Yeah, there you go. So this is fine. Okay, so this is, the basic stuff. Let's also try something, right? Like I'll duplicate this. So I'll just do like, duplicate layer. And I don't want the height in this one. So come back here and turn off the height and everything. I just want this for color. Let's come to the mask. We'll add levels and just invert it. Yeah, so there you go. So we just have this. Yeah, because I wanted to create like, but I don't want these bright. Okay, I want them darker. So let's take this and make it darker. Yeah. So you'll get, it looks nice. It looks like speckles. You can also do like, you have those icings which have like Oreo and stuff in it. So it's very grainy. You can do that with this. But yeah, there you go. So this is fine. Okay, now I want to create like this burnt look on top. Okay, so which is similar to what we have done initially, but just with one minor addition. So I can take the base color and pick it up, let's say from here and set it to multiply. And then I'll do add a mask and take a generator. And the first thing we'll do is we'll pick up curvature. So we'll get this. Okay, just blur it slightly, or actually no, let it be. And then I will again pick up a generator and take a 3D linear. Okay. And then set this to multiply. So if you adjust the contrast of this, see, and move it up down, so we can get, like a nice little burnt look. Maybe make it darker still. But yeah, there you go. See. So just adjust the 3D position, like how far down you want it, and you can get, that kind of a look. So if you want, we can come back to our gradient here and maybe make it slightly lighter. Yeah, this is fine. See. And that's the icing. Okay, so I'll just save this and let me export the textures. So I'll just do file, export textures. Yeah, I'm exporting at 2K, but you can, like, it goes all the way up to 8K. So depending on what you want, you can export it. Okay, and just hit export. Okay, so let's just save this and let's do a basic render. So I'm not going back to Houdini. I'll just do it in Octane standalone because I'm just going to take the maps, assign it to the object and done. So it's nothing fancy overall. So I'll close this and open up Octane standalone. So I built up a basic file in here, which is just, the cupcakes and the icing. The reason I like using Octane standalone is that, it's just a renderer. I don't need to go back to Houdini and then, set things up. This is just, I can just get to see the result here. So I'll just take a simple glossy material and let's plug this in. And then we'll just start picking up the texture. So I'll firstly pick up like a RGB image and come to the textures. Yeah, so we have cupcake color and let's plug that in. And there you go. Yeah, that actually looks pretty nice. And yeah, so then let's pick up the rest. So texture, we'll pick up the normal first. So that should be an RGB and we'll plug it into normal. And then I can pick up grayscale textures. So I want the height. Let's plug that into bump. And then I want the roughness. Okay. You can also you'll also have like a ambient occlusion map, which you can just multiply with your base map. Okay. So if I come into textures, I can take a multiply and I can just multiply these two. So you'll get, like the additional detail. And if you don't want it that much, you can adjust the gamma to maybe like lower the intensity of it. You can also take like a color correction. So you can just take like a basic color correction. These are things that are available in pretty much every render engine. So you should be able to follow the same steps anywhere. But if you want, like we can make it slightly darker. Like if you want to go for chocolate, see, you can make it darker. Okay. And we can also adjust the, the basic IOR value to make it more shiny. Yeah, and then lastly, let's just pick up the roughness. Okay, so I'll just come into, I'll pick up a grayscale image again and pick up the cupcake roughness and just drop that in roughness. Yeah, there you go. So if I just come in here and rotate this a little bit. Okay, so that's it. Okay, and then I can just, let's keep this to one side. And I'll again pick up another glossy material. What we had done with the original file in Mantra, you can also try adding subsurface scattering and things like that. But that varies for each render engine. So you kind of, go with what you like. But here we'll just, do the basic setup. So that's the base cupcake. I can plug that into diffuse. Yeah, there you go. You can also, as I said, like you can do a color correction, but you can also use the color correction to just modify. Okay, so I can plug it into color correction. And then if I want like a different value, I can sort of just, move it around to get different results, which is nice, so you can do these things as well. And so I can then take up the rest. So let me just pick up the normal map first. So I'll just take the normal map and plug that in there. And then pick up the roughness. yeah, there you go. So this is it, nothing fancy, just the basic material. And that's like, this won't work for the baking animation that we had done, because the geometry is continuously moving, the UVs won't be fixed. But when you want a final static result, then this is what you want to do. Okay. But yeah, this is how you can sort of bake geometry to low res, and then do UV mapping and final painting of materials in Substance Painter. And that's the entire training. So I hope this was interesting. As I said, like, this is a continuation of the cupcake training, so make sure that you see that first before you come to this one. I'll also mention that on the web page, so there is no confusion. But yeah, the idea was like, let's take that and make it a little more complicated. And that's essentially what I ended up with. So as usual, I hope this was useful. And if you have any questions regarding this training or any other training that I have, or anything in general about Houdini, you can write me an email, you can message me on Twitter or Instagram, or write me an email, whatever helps you. Okay. So once again, I hope this training was useful, and that's basically it.